Are you trying to turn your enterprise data into useful insights but aren't sure where to start? Maybe you're getting caught up in thinking about GPU availability or which model to use. Many organizations, when embarking on an AI journey, can become paralyzed thinking about GPU sizes, which model to use, speeds and feeds, and can lose sight of the main business objective that they set out to solve. Hi, I'm Laura Giordana, Technical Marketing at Nutanix, and today I want to show you how Nutanix and Intel have partnered together with the Nutanix CoreStart program with Intel AI for Enterprise RAG. This helps you focus on your business challenge first, offering a turnkey, scalable, and secure platform for enterprise RAG. And the best part is it can run on Intel Xeon CPUs. Let's take a look. The Nutanix CoreStart program includes Nutanix Enterprise AI and the Intel AI for Enterprise RAG solution to quickly unlock AI value for your business. Nutanix Enterprise AI provides the centralized model repository and the ability to run inference securely on premises, and Intel AI for Enterprise RAG includes everything you need to start unlocking value from your enterprise data. The solution runs efficiently on Intel Xeon CPUs with the flexibility to use GPUs only when you need them. This approach helps avoid the risk of overinvestment in GPU infrastructure while also allowing your CPU and GPU to scale AI across your entire data center footprint without creating dedicated silos. Let's dive into a demo of what this looks like. Nutanix Enterprise AI is a private inferencing platform that simplifies the management of LLMs and inference endpoints and can run on any Kubernetes. Once deployed and configured, we can download models from public model repositories such as Hugging Face or bring our own custom models, and then deploy inference endpoints to connect our applications to. So to get started, we need to make sure we have our access tokens configured for these public model repositories. So in this case, I have my Hugging Face access token configured, which you can set up from the Hugging Face website. So now coming over to the model screen, I can click on Import Models and import from the Hugging Face Model Hub. And I can select from any of these models and download them to my Nutanix Enterprise AI instance. And you'll also want to make sure that you have access to that model from within Hugging Face. So depending on the model, you may need to provide some information and accept a EULA. So go ahead and click on Import and give the model a name, and that's how we'll identify it in the system. And it will basically start carving out the storage, pulling down that model from Hugging Face, and so it's really easy to get models downloaded from Hugging Face into our system. Once the model is marked as ready, that means it's ready to go, and we can now create an endpoint from that model. So coming over to the endpoints view, we can see we already have an endpoint running, but we can create a new endpoint just by coming in here on Create Endpoint, filling out a simple wizard to connect to our new model. I'll select the acceleration type as CPU since we're using our Intel Xeon processors with AMX. And we'll go ahead and assign it an existing API key, or you can create a new one, and you can do this after the fact as well. We'll set up the number of instances to deploy. So this is going to be the number of Kubernetes worker nodes that get deployed. And we can either use the pre-configured configuration here, or to match the sizing guidance in the Intel documentation, we're going to specify each instance to have 32 vCPUs, and we'll adjust the RAM to 64 gigs as well. We'll leave the context length as default, click on Next, review our selections, and then we'll click Create, and it's going to go ahead and start spinning up these worker nodes with our inference engine for this model, and then we'll be able to leverage it. So while we wait for that, and this will just take a few minutes to deploy, we can take a look at an existing endpoint here. So this is the Llama 3 billion parameter model that we're currently using. So we can see all of the information and activity on this endpoint, the API keys assigned to it. We can see that it's running on CPU with AMX, and we can test out the endpoint directly from the interface just to make sure everything is working as expected. So we can use one of the sample prompts or create our own, and we can see that everything's working. Once we're satisfied with that, we can view the sample code. So we can send that information off to an application developer to use in their application. In our case, we're going to be leveraging this in the Intel Enterprise RAG solution, which can be configured to point to any OpenAI compatible endpoint. And so we can see we have our OpenAI compatible URL, we have the API key, and the endpoint name. And so we'll just need to make sure that's configured in our application. So let's go ahead and jump into the Enterprise RAG interface. Intel Enterprise RAG is deployed as a Kubernetes application and is included as part of the Nutanix CoreStart program, which allows you to quickly move from a technology discussion to gaining insights from your enterprise data quickly. So really fast tracking to be able to showcase the value of AI for your business. So let's take a quick tour of the application. When we first log in, we'll land on the chat interface where we can immediately begin conversing with a configured model. On the left-hand side, we can see the chat history. So for example, I can bring up one of the old chats here and we can continue to ask it questions. The model is leveraging its general knowledge and is augmented with the context it currently has in its document repository. And so we'll dig into what that looks like. We can jump into the admin panel by clicking on this icon, and once in the admin panel, it switches back to the chat icon, so you can easily toggle back and forth. From the admin panel, as a user with appropriate admin permissions, I have visibility into the backend configuration and control plane, so I can see the status of each of the services that are running as part of this Enterprise RAG solution. It's running several microservices to deliver the RAG pipeline, so it's leveraging an embedded vector database to store the embeddings, an embedding model, re-ranker, and guardrail model. There's a retrieval service, a prompt template we can modify. So many of these services are configurable. Coming over here to the LLM, this is the main text generation LLM, and this is what is running on Nutanix Enterprise AI. It's that Llama 3 billion parameter model that we saw. We can adjust the settings for the LLM, like the max tokens or the temperature to tweak the behavior. We can also adjust settings for the guardrail model. We can modify the prompt template so we can customize for specific use cases, such as a support agent, shopping assistant, sales engineer, or other personas. We can also adjust the parameters for how many ranked documents to return and the score threshold to improve accuracy, as well as the type of retrieval search to perform. So you can do things like similarity search with siblings, similarity distance threshold, so it's very configurable. The next tab here will show us the data ingestion screen, and so these are all the docs that are being leveraged by our application. So we'll come back to this. The solution is also implementing telemetry with Grafana and authentication with Keycloak. So for example, with Grafana, we can see we have a number of out-of-the-box dashboards, so we can see metrics about the different microservices. And coming back into Keycloak, all the authentication is handled via Keycloak. So we can see we have a realm for Enterprise RAG. We can see the users that are defined here, including the user that I'm logged in as, which is the eRAG admin. And we can add additional users and configure the roles of the realm. Now coming back into the solution, let's go ahead and ingest some data. So let's say we're a service provider and we want our customers and our support engineers to be able to chat with our knowledge base. So I can come in here and ask a question like, what are the API rate limits? And this is a very generic question and it doesn't know what I'm talking about because it's only trained on general knowledge, so it needs more kind of specific context here. So we can come into the data ingestion screen and select a bucket to upload our files, and I'm going to drag and drop our knowledge base articles into the bucket and go ahead and upload it. And what we'll see is that the Enterprise RAG solution is extracting and processing these documents, and once they're fully ingested, we'll be able to start leveraging them right away. So we can see that once everything is done, we can come back into the chat, ask the same exact question, and we can see that it provides a much more definitive answer and it's referencing our documentation. And we can see the exact sources that it used to generate that answer. And coming back into the Nutanix Enterprise AI interface, we can see the requests coming in on our endpoint. So we can see details on these requests, so things like the usage per API key. We can see the token usage, the performance metrics, such as the number of requests waiting at the inference engine, time to first token, latency. And coming back to the endpoint we had just created, we can see that it's now in an active state. So let's see how we can leverage this in our Enterprise RAG application. The Enterprise RAG documentation outlines how to configure or edit the OpenAI compatible endpoint, and that involves editing the GM connector custom resource called ChatQA And we'll just need to update that with the updated model name. In this case, we change the API key. We can leave the server endpoint the same. And once we've made those changes, the pods will come back up. It'll take about a minute or so. And once those pods are ready to go, we can jump back into the Enterprise RAG application. We can see that coming to the admin panel, we're now using the Llama 3 8B model with that updated API key. And we can start chatting with that model. So we can either continue the existing chat or we can start a new one. And coming back into Nutanix Enterprise AI, we can look at the endpoint status. We can see that our original model that we changed from is no longer being leveraged, and that the Llama 3 8 billion parameter model that we just updated has requests coming into it, and we can see the usage and performance metrics as we did before. As we saw, Nutanix and Intel make it easy for you to start integrating AI into your business in a simple and secure manner, keeping all of your data, models, and private information secure and under your control. For more information on Nutanix Enterprise AI and Intel AI Enterprise RAG, check out our website at nutanix.com/intel, and we'll see you in the next video.